The real obstacle to your success right now as an artist is not the competition, and spoiler alert, it is also not the industry. It is every time you let fear creep in when you market yourself. And marketing is essentially being seen. And there's something we say here at Synthesis HQ that if you aren't being seen, you aren't being heard. So if you aren't getting over this hurdle or these fears of being seen, you are basically sabotaging your career, because visibility and being seen are the most essential thing that you need in order to grow your fan base, to get booked for gigs, for agents to discover you, for labels and promoters to want to invest in you and book you. It is absolutely essential that you get over this piece. And so something I would invite you to do is look at, where is that edge for you? Like, where do you feel like confronted with social media and marketing yourself? What are the beliefs that you have about it? Most people tend to feel like, oh, it's this narcissistic thing. This self-promotion kind of feels icky or gross, or it's thinking about, what are other people going to think? Like, how many times are you held back by like what other people are going to think about you? And it's easy to get stuck in these loops and then to cycle through them, like kind of just be looping and looping and looping about it, and to the point that you actually never take any action or post anything. And so we need to get real with what those are in order to move past them. You need to understand where in yourself, and this is why like building an artist career is no joke. Like, this is actually pretty deep work. This isn't like a quick fix kind of scenario. I hate to say it, but neither is growing an artist career, right? Being a professional in the music industry is not easy. It takes so much persistence and ability to be resilient and move through things that feel really uncomfortable and challenging. And this piece, I know, is one of the most difficult for most artists. So if you can work this piece within yourself, if you can get in there and ask yourself, what are these different places where I feel blocked and stuck? Where am I afraid of being seen? And how can I move through them? Because this is what's holding most artists back at this point. It is not because you're not talented. Most people are plenty talented. And the people you see succeeding, I'm sure there's moments where you're like, okay, but why? And likely it's because they've really worked through these fears and they have this ability and capacity to be seen by a lot of people. There are some people that define fame and essentially like having a lot of energy directed towards you, like let's say, on your social platforms and like really being seen, like your capacity to hold a lot of attention by other people will help you grow in your career. And this is just working through these visibility blocks and being fearful of things. Like I said, what are people going to think? I'm going to address that one right now, because honestly, like most people aren't paying attention at all. Like, they're just not paying attention at all. Or they might see something and even if they're kind of like, what is that? Like 5 minutes later, less than 5 minutes probably, they've completely forgotten about it. And we think like we're in our own internal space going like, it's this huge deal. Oh my God, everyone's going to think this, or they're going to judge me and this and that and the other. And we're the ones keeping ourselves in this cycle, like in this loop. I can't tell you how many times I myself have been through this loop. And one of the reasons that we focus so much on visibility and being seen here at Synthesis Agency is because we know, and I know from firsthand experience, that when you are able to walk through this piece, you open up so many more opportunities for yourself. You open up so much more for yourself when you allow yourself to be seen. Again, if you aren't being seen, you aren't being heard. And that's just it. And you are an artist, or maybe you're even a promoter. Like, if people aren't seeing what they're going to experience and understanding it and connecting with it, you're just invisible, right? And like being invisible isn't going to help you grow in any sort of direction. So addressing these areas where you feel really blocked, addressing these places and spaces within yourself. And again, like I said, I know this is deep work. Like this is not surface level stuff that you're working through here. This isn't like back end nuts and bolts. How do I post a reel? This is like getting in and learning how to hold space for yourself when you feel afraid, when you feel scared. And it's making me think of like, okay, when you go on stage, right? When you go on stage, to DJ. I mean, I know most people who are performers, they have an element of fear. They have an element of, even if it's just like an edgy excitement, anxiety or something before they're going out there, like there's a sensation in there, but you do it anyway. So what do you do to do it anyway, right? Like to get up there and do your thing, because that's a good clue for you to use of like how you can do the same for yourself when it comes to marketing and comes to showing up on social media, creating your videos, creating posts, writing captions, and all of that stuff. There's something you already know as a performer in order to like move through being fearful. And you can use that when you're moving through showing up and being more vulnerable and letting yourself be seen, because this is how you build trust. This is the only way to build trust. Consistently just posting photos of yourself at your gigs and that's it and nothing, or flyers and that's it and nothing else. This does not build connection with your fans. This does not start to cultivate the kind of trust that you need for people to see the journey through with you, to want to be on the journey with you. They have to understand why they would want to be on the journey with you. And so if you're holding yourself back and you're not showing up and you're not sharing these things, like there is literally no way for anyone to truly connect with you. And eventually they're just going to start tuning out. So what can you do to overcome these visibility blocks to open up and be seen a little more? I recommend that you start small. You pick small actions each week, each month that will push your edge a little bit and help you to step out into the world a little bit more. The reality is that it doesn't need to be perfect, and perfect holds us back a lot. And if you can find some simple actions to take that push that edge just a little bit to open up and allow people to connect with you a little bit more, this is going to make a huge difference. And I can guarantee if you start small, these actions are going to build up over time and you're going to become more comfortable. One of the bigger hurdles that people find, right, when they're trying to open up and become more visible is that they do it for a little bit. They get what, was coined by Brene Brown as a vulnerability hangover and get fearful, get afraid of the judgment and all of that. And then they pull back again. And there's nothing worse for yourself than to ride this visibility roller coaster, as I like to call it, of just like, okay, cool, I'm going to do the thing. And you're out there. And then you pull back and you pull back and you pull back. And what happens is it sends this signal out to your fans and to your audience that you're like, it's kind of like you're not a safe space and you're kind of unstable. And so they can't really get like a read on you. And this is why people preach consistency a lot. And so when you can take simple, small, consistent actions to be visible on a weekly, daily, monthly basis and keep some sort of flow going with this is the trust piece, right? This is where you keep building that trust and people start to recognize you and see you and feel you and understand you. So my recommendation is to just start small. So like, what is something you could do this week that's going to push that edge a little bit and allow people to see you a little bit more? So it's, say maybe you've been really holding back and not wanting to be on video at all. Maybe you make a little video, not even have to talk to the video, but you shoot a little video of you in your studio working on your computer, and you share a little bit about your journey or process that you're going through in something that you're working on. I mean, simple. Like this does not have to be like you're creating some huge piece and you're going to edit it all together in this big production. This isn't about that. This is about getting comfortable showing the little real snippets, the behind the scenes of what is actually going on in your process as an artist and your gigs and your events and all of that. So just choosing something simple, one place to start that you can bring a little more awareness, open people up to your journey just a little bit more. Another really helpful thing that you can do right away to shift some of these blocks is just to remember and remind yourself that people don't want to see the perfect you. Like, think about what you scroll with. Like, do you want to see just highly curated, polished stuff, or do you kind of just tend to scroll by that stuff? Most people do because there's nothing that like has emotion there. So when you take these simple small actions and you allow people to see a little bit into your world and you're being a little bit vulnerable, this is very magnetic. This makes people want to stop the scroll. This makes people want to engage and feel a genuine desire to connect with you. And that's what you want. You want fans who actually want to connect with you because engagement is how your content and your message and your music gets heard. So if you're not doing this piece of really getting yourself out there and being seen, again, you're not being heard. So this is super, super important to address in a simple way to begin with, especially if this is really an edge for you. Keep it simple. Remember that it's not about being perfect. In fact, I can tell you from managing and working with so many artists on their social media and their marketing that almost always, hands down, the best performing posts that go out are the ones that have this very raw, very vulnerable edge to them, and they're not about polish. Or they are artists talking to the camera, being seen, using their voice, letting themselves be a little bit vulnerable on camera. That's like, next level, intermediate. We'll just call it that if there's like an edge for you here. So just finding where that edge is and starting there on a consistent basis so you can flex this muscle. Like, it really is a muscle. Visibility is like training a muscle in yourself. Like I said earlier in this episode, of like holding space for yourself and knowing and recognizing when the fears are coming to market yourself, the fears of promoting yourself, and being able to walk through them. So think about your visibility as an opportunity not to perform, but to connect. This isn't about you being perfect up on stage or delivering something in a certain way. This is just about you being you, showing up and just letting people see you, because this is your opportunity. Your marketing is this massive opportunity. Your social media is a massive opportunity that you get to utilize to grow your career. And this is what is so unique about this moment in the music industry right now, is that there is no gatekeeping to the visibility now. You don't need a bunch of paid advertising. You don't need a huge marketing team behind a label that picked you up. You get to be all of it yourself. And while some artists are going to complain about that, the artists that are going to succeed are the ones that are going to break through these fears right now and go, I get to take control. I get to build what I want to build right now. And I get to do it my way. And that's the other thing with visibility, with being seen, with social media marketing. Like, you get to do this your way. There are no rules here. You don't have to play someone's game. You get to go out and do the thing the way you want to do the thing. So take this daily drop, take some small actions this week to push that edge. Investigate how you're holding yourself back. Understand the blocks so that when they arise, you know exactly what to do to move through them. That's what we got for today. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Don't forget to send this to another artist friend, because we are not gatekeepers around here. And I'll see you next time.